Hello, CR here to welcome you back to more of Wario Month, and today we're exploring his company of creators who make Microgames. This is the first game I'm reviewing that literally doesn't have a story, so this review will be a little on the shorter side as there isn't much to explain, but a lot of fun to be had. Off to the basics of single player. As far as the single player goes, you start off going through a trial of continuous microgames. You might be wondering what microgames are, but they are just what they sound like. Incredibly short games. You start out doing Warios, but you go through the various characters throughout WarioWare like 9V and Orbulon. Each has a different set of microgames varying in what you're supposed to do. Some you mash A, a couple you move around, and a few you follow specific instructions. After a certain amount of games, you'll see a speed up thing, and the games will literally increase in speed, testing your reaction time as you try to do things that are crazy, become increasingly faster and faster. After a couple characters getting to crazy speeds, you'll get a level up, which will reverse it back to normal speed, but don't worry, after a few more games, it will get faster again. It would take hours to explain each microgame individually, but this is just the tip of the iceberg for a single player. After you beat the first mode, you unlock a bunch of different modes. Thrilling, which is playing with one life on the hardest difficulty of games at the slowest speed. Hard mode is the exact opposite, using the highest speed but lowest difficulty and generously having 4 lives. All mixed up is just playing every single microgame like normal, with speed increasing as you go along. You'll also unlock the album, which allows you to play each microgame by itself, trying to beat the games a number of times as the speed increases. The game will actually set how many times you need to beat the microgame before you actually clear it, but you can keep on going even after you beat it. You also unlock some weird mini-movies with the characters, introduction to the characters, and a staff role. Completing 30 microgames in All Mixed Up will unlock Time Attack. In this mode, the goal is to get the smallest amount of time, with winning games increasing the speed and losing games decreasing the speed. After beating all the games in the photo album, you'll unlock Master Mode, which has you play all microgames starting on difficulty 3. Now for the main draw of the game, the multiplayer. With 12 different modes that unlock as you play each one, lots of fun can be had, even if you're only playing with one other person. First up is Jimmy Survival Fever, which has you compete through microgames, failing leading to you lose a part of the audience you have until all your audience is gone, in which case you'll lose. Wario's Out of My Way has you play the microgames like normal, but the other players can grow big and cover the screen in order to mess you up. 9V's Cardi Cards has the players compete to see who can win the most E-cards, which I actually forgot existed until now. While a player is playing the games, the others can actually steal cards from each other. If you lose at any time, you also lose your cards, which go up for grabs to the next person who wins the game. Dr. Krygor's Balloon Bang has people switch off inflating a balloon that will explode once it's big enough. If you win a microgame, you get it start inflating. If you lose, you keep playing until you win at the cost of your opponent inflating the balloon more and more. Cat and Anna's Wobbly Bobbly involves playing multiplayer games. The winner of that then plays a microgame. Winning this will allow you to not get a turtle shell added to your pile as you try to balance yourself. Losing adds a shell, which increases your chances of falling off and losing. Dribble and Spit's Milky Way Delirium has everyone competing for asteroids. They all have numbers on them determining how many microgames you have to play in order to actually get the asteroid, and you can actually steal other players' asteroids if they end up between yours. My personal favorite is Mona's Listen to the Doctor, which involves the player taking turns playing microgames while the doctor tells you to do something such as closing an eye as you're playing the game. The winner is determined by how many claps they received from the other players, as after every game the doctor will ask them to clap if they did what the doctor told them to. The final character-based game is Orbulon's All for One, where instead of fighting, everyone helps each other. Every player shares a light with 3 batteries, which are just lives as they play microgames on a very poorly lit Game Boy. There are still 4 more, with Jump Forever being just to see how long each player can jump rope. There's also a variation called One Controller Jump Forever, which everybody takes turns jumping rope with up to 16 players. Finally, there's Paper Plane, which is normally a microgame, and it's just a race, and One Controller Survival, with again up to 16 players playing microgames, and whoever loses is out. While this game doesn't really have any story, it makes up for it with overwhelming charm. The microgames are a ton of fun, and the multiplayer is the main draw of the game, and it really doesn't disappoint, giving a good amount of options on how you go about playing the games. This will actually be a first, but I genuinely don't have any cons about the game. It's not a 10 out of 10 for me, but that's just because of my preference in games, and this is more of something to have fun and relax with some friends. I can definitely see why you'd want more story or something, but I really think it's a solid game in its own right. This was one of the first games I played where Wario was the main character, and it was definite fun, even when playing single player. A lot of frustration as a kid from constantly losing, but this game is still number 5 on my top 10 GameCube games list, so I guess I didn't get all that mad. This is definitely a great party game, and if any of this has piqued your interest, you'll be sure to have a fun time playing with friends. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next video.